Thanks, everyone. Today, I'm going to walk you through my perspective and how I have implemented this continuous monitoring slash audit cycle for the cyber controls in BNP Paribas and with the help of Pentera. So that's something that I would like to share with the community today and how this has helped us to have a little bit big picture view. So as you might have heard with other presenters today, that cyber risk is something that is keep evolving all the time, and obviously there is something we have to do on regular basis rather than on like annual is not always good enough. So with that kind of a high level, let me walk you through what I have done with the help of Pentera in BNP. So a little bit introduction of myself. So I'm the global head for the risk ORM function for the independent testing and the automation center as the managing director for the BNP Paribas based out of London. And my credentials is like a lot of certification, as well as I have moved a lot of countries like US, UK, India, and other location, predominantly in the financial sector. And in the financial sector, I have worked all three line of defenses. The first line where I was part of the InfoSec department, then moved into the audit function of the cybersecurity audit function, and then now I'm part of the IT risk function, leading this global team here based out of London. What I'm going to share more, my experience is from the financial sector perspective, and this is where the three line of defense, the regulatory concept, as well as the kind of scrutiny the financial sector is always in, is very important, and how this Pentera tool has helped us in kind of a manage the cyber risk, or at least getting the reportings in place. So just, I'm not going to bore you with what cyber risk means, but the key thing is, what are we doing about the cyber risk? There are three key things that I have looked into it, and the way I have progressed is basically moving very quantitative to from qualitative to quantitative way, because every risk is there, and when you call about risk, if it's tangible, you can quantify it, it's easy to understand. As the previous presenter mentioned, even for the insurance companies, it's easy for them to put a value to it. So it's very important to have that quantitative risk analytics, and it helps us to make the decisions as well. On the other side, it provides us the cybersecurity posture, which means it drives our investments, whether it's towards the value chain, which means what part of we should invest towards our clients versus what should we invest within our company itself. And obviously, it also helps us to look, or at least start using the new technologies or the new platform that will enable us to do more business in more geographies. So my analysis of the cyber risk and the kind of opportunities, the tools that exist, was to look for something which can give me more real-time aspect or a continuous testing, rather than having a annual plan. Generally, the audit function look at the plan, they do this kind of audit annually. And annual itself, that 12 months is a long period, because a lot of things do change within that 12 months. So the idea was, can it be more periodic, and can we have that kind of a risk posture on regular basis that we can test on more frequent basis? So that's where this Pentera tool came in and was a very good help for us in that aspect for it. Also, you'll be aware there are a lot of frameworks that is used for various reasons. Either it's like regulatory reasons, or each bank or company have their own framework or the model that they have to abide with. But each of these, what we have to understand is, each of these framework have its kind of a limitations when we look into it. So let me walk you through some examples, and then it will be easy to appreciate. So let's start with the general audit practice model. If you look from the third line perspective in the three line of defense model, the audit functions or the regulators, they come in for examinations, or they look from the audit cycle, and they are based on the auditable entities. And that is generally done like, every year the plan is finalized, it gets executed. So yes, you know what to be audited, there will be no surprise, but it's an annual exercise, and that frequency sometimes is not good enough to get the risk posture, the review of the from the independent perspective of the cyber risk. So this is where that's kind of a one very limitation from the auditing principle. And obviously it's not very agile also. So should something happens, you have to change the plan completely, then you have to get approvals from the board, you have to get the approvals from the regulators because you're changing the audit plan. So that agility is very much limited when it comes to these annual audit plans. So this is where the continuous monitoring, the continuous auditing concepts comes in and comes in very handy. Similarly, if I take the NIST attestation, in the NIST attestation, which is widely used, we are talking about the control status, what are the control, at what status of the maturity they are. But we don't always get the real view of the residual risk, which is a very important aspect when we are having any investment discussions or the multi-year plan. And these are kind of I would say, the limitations that we have to consider when we are thinking of like a big picture view. So yes, these are the good attributes, but then what next? How can we fill those gaps to have that kind of a big complete view? And this is where I would say Pentera has enabled us. So the way we have implemented, or the way we have rolled out Pentera, at least in BNP, it's a second line assessment, and we are having a continuous monitoring of the cyber related controls. As you know, the features of the tool itself and how it works is to ensure that it's being continuously monitored, and I would say like on a monthly basis, and that gives us a clear picture of all the cyber risk that we have kind of rolled out in most of our businesses. And this particular rolling out has helped us in, I would say, three key aspects for it. It is independent view, because obviously what we are doing is in a three line of defense, my information security team are implementing the control, but as a second line, I am evaluating whether those controls are effective. Are they operating effectively? So that kind of a cohesive way that we are having our boundaries, but at the same time, we are giving an independent view to the board that how is the controls being implemented and how effective they are. So which brings more cost-effective view for the management on the risk and the control implementation, as well as it also helps the senior management or the executive board to take a decision for the future investment. It also had kind of helped us. This was one of the, I would call it like an indirect benefit. I think most of our colleagues will appreciate it, that one of the key challenge is on the skills or the skilled resource hiring. And to enable us to do this kind of a wider assessment on periodic basis through this automation tool, it really has kind of elevated a little bit pressure on the hiring aspect as well, because hiring a good staff, skills staff across the globe is a little bit challenged in today's world. And this is where also kind of an indirect benefit we had, because a lot of activities are now kind of automated through this particular tool. So this has helped us to have that kind of a big picture on the non-financial or the operational risk, and has enabled us with the three line of defense from the second line perspective, that independent view on the cyber risk and its control, how it's being managed periodically. And it also helped us in our reporting for the board on a quarterly basis. What we have done is we have mapped all our controls into like the kill chain perspective also, which helps us to illustrate that when we are doing these testing using Pentera, what it has enabled us is to reduce the control testing cost as well. So yes, there is one benefit that we are having is to have a view of the control and their effectiveness. Plus, it's also giving us in the reduction on the control testing, which means it's less burden on the audit function. It's less burden because we are providing an independent view, which means the insurance providers as well as the regulators can rely on these reports because since we are a second line, which is an independent function. So our results are used for multiple reporting, whether it's CIS reporting, CIS 20 controls reporting, NEST, or the other framework related reporting as well. So it's like, it's done once, but is being used in multiple reporting internally. So it helps us to reduce the cost of the controls testing in the long run also. So these are the kind of I would say, benefit that I can explain to the board and get their buy-in for its full implementation. Uh, I have a couple of more slides, which is more like echo on the same frameworks and everything. But I think the key message here is the controls testing periodically or more frequent is kind of a requirement in today's world. The tool helps us to have that kind of a real, almost real-time view, and helps on this kind of a long-term strategy, and helps us the cost saving in the big picture. So that's kind of my rollout, the way I have done it, and how the Pentera has helped me to bring more efficiencies in the automation and the independent testing. That's all from my side. Thank you.